Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It is my honor to be here in the Sultan Qaboos Cultural Center in Washington to deliver my speech on Oman's rules of peaceful coexistence, religious tolerance, and mutual understanding. I would like to express my deep thanks and gratitude for this invitation and to the support shown for this initiative. This gathering today represents the example of mutual understanding and tolerance due to the diversity of the people who are here. Being open to new experiences, ideas, knowledge is essential in creating a common ground with others. A person might fully disagree, challenge, and even contradict with anyone on any issue, from religion to politics, from food to sport, while at the same time respecting those with different opinions and treating them justly. The title given to this speech today, The Rules of Peaceful Coexistence in Oman, is an answer to a question I have been asked whenever people know that I am from a country called Oman. Why Oman is different? Where is Oman located? What makes Oman special? Why we don't hear too much about Oman in the news or social media? In the coming minutes, the speech will try to give an overall introduction in terms of Oman's values and traditions. Ladies and gentlemen, in this one world where human beings of different backgrounds, ethnicity, cultures, and religions are living together, where the societies has become multicultural and full of diversity, establishing harmony has become very crucial, and fostering peaceful coexistence has become vital. In October 2003, His Excellency Mr. Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah, the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, addressed his speech to the session of the United Nations General Assembly, on which he stated the importance of all kind of efforts to accomplish in the service of humanity and for the safety and security of the international community. He stated, security and stability are a blessing. Under this blessing, people can devote for their time and energy to building and development in all areas of life, the direct of their moral and material resources to create prosperity and advancement. That is why one of the most important duties of the state is to guarantee security and stability so that their peoples may live and have the peace of mind to be able to work, produce, build, and reconstruct. But if security is disturbed and stability is shaken, what will ensure will be chaos and destruction. End of quotation. Without peaceful coexistence, the lasting peace of nations cannot be preserved, and a common ground between people cannot be established. Lack of coexistence leads the way to violence, and it destroys the peace and stability of mankind. When people or even nations fail in their dialogue, they become intolerant, and then they use force and aggression to support their opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, the Middle East is faced with many challenges: political, economic, diplomatic, social, and religion. These challenges must not cause us to react with anger, but with ambition. This region has exported one of the great world religions, which to this day has shaped the values choices, and habits of millions of people. This region should now construct and promulgate a global paradigm for peace. Oman is an ideal candidate to lead this agenda as a consequence to its confirmed reputation as an advocate for mutual respect. It is strategically well placed to spearhead a new intercultural drive for religious understanding. Geographically, Oman's near neighbors include both Sunni and Shia heartland. It is a short path to the world's largest democracy and has historical trading routes which link up to the world's most populous countries. For thousands of years, Omanis have traded in peace with other cultures. Politically, Oman has open and trusted relationships with all countries, including those farther afield in the Far East, Africa, North America, and Europe. This makes Oman the ideal standard messenger for the message calling for mutual understanding. Berengida wrote once, Oman has managed to stay out of disputes, maintaining good relationships with Western allies and other Middle Eastern countries, including Iran, and it has managed to fend off threats from ISIS and other extremist groups. In 2015, the International Center for the Study of Radicalization and Political Violence at London's King's College found that not a single Omani had joined the more than 20,000 foreign fighters battling alongside ISIS. He added, the country's efforts at staying out of the region's war had paid off. In November, the Sydney-based Institute for Economics and Peace released its annual Global Terrorism Index, which assesses the impact of terrorism on 163 countries on a scale of 0 to 10. Just 34 countries scored 0. Oman was the only country in the Middle East among that grouping. The Sultanate is effectively, end of quotation. The Sultanate is effectively handling all that related to terrorism and sectarian intolerance. Besides, the Sultanate ratified the International Convention for the Suppression of the Financing of Terrorism in 2011 and has set up a system for fighting money laundering and terrorist financing in 2002 in accordance to a royal decree. Ladies and gentlemen, as a seafaring nation, Oman has been engaged for centuries in intercultural exchange with people around the Indian Ocean, reaching as far as China. Freedom of religion is guaranteed in Oman, where there has historically been mutual acceptance, understanding, and a peaceful coexistence among its diverse religious communities. Throughout history, members of other faiths were found in Oman. Christians, Jews, Hindus, Sikhs, and others. Upon the principles of religious tolerance, their presence in Oman was accepted in the past centuries. They were not discriminated against due to their religious affiliation. Oman's 5,000-year-old history of trade has also left imprint throughout the land, where there developed a unique climate of openness and tolerance. As noted in this quote from the Englishman John Ovington, chaplain to King James II on his visit to Muscat in 1633. He says, "These Arabians are very courteous and extremely civil to all strangers. They offer neither violence or affront to any. And though they are very tenacious of their own principles and admirers of their religion, yet do they never impose it upon any, nor are their morals evened with such furious zeal as to divert them of humanity and a tender respect. A man may travel hundreds of miles in this country and never meet with any abusive language or any behavior that looks rude." End of quotation. Minorities which were persecuted elsewhere found respite and a home in Oman, where they were amicably integrated into society. Karsten Niebuhr, a German traveler, visited Muscat on January 3rd, 1765. He reported, "Banyans from India are settled in great numbers in the commercial city. At Mocha, they suffer many mortifications, but in Muscat, among the tolerant sect of the Bayazi," he means Ibadi, "they are permitted to observe the laws and cultivate worship of their own religion without disturbance." In 1824, Captain George Keppel, a British traveler, visited Muscat while coming back from India to England. He characterized the Muslims of Oman as follows: "They worship no saints and have neither convents nor dervishes. They have a great regard for justice and a universal toleration of other religions." The American businessman and diplomat Edmund Roberts visited Sayyid Sa'id bin Sultan, the Emperor of Oman, in 1833 and reported about the ruler of Oman. "All religions with the Sultan's dominions are not merely tolerated, but they are protected by His Highness. And there is no obstacle whatever to prevent the Christians, the Jew, or the Gentile for preaching their doctrines or erecting temples." Today, the Sultanate of Oman has been sharing its peaceful philosophy at home and abroad. Today, Oman has been promoting interfaith dialogue upon the guidance of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Said, as he emphasizes in his speech in Majlis Oman in 2006. The path, he says, "The path we have followed in our foreign policy over the past decades has shown itself to be both sound and effective. We are committed to this approach, which supports justice, peace and security, tolerance and love, which calls for international cooperation in order to reinforce stability, promote growth and prosperity, and tackle the causes of tension in international relations by producing just and permanent solutions to critical problems, which fosters peaceful coexistence between nations, and which generates well-being and prosperity for the whole of mankind." End of quotation. In these few minutes, please allow me to share with you this short documentary film done by Wolfgang Eklich in 2010 from Germany about the current situation on peaceful coexistence in Oman.
The Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs in Oman oversees all religious communities, and it encourages dialogue and discussion among the various religions, with the aim of raising awareness of the ethics, morality, and sense of justice which they have in common. Not only Muslims live in Oman. Many guest workers from the Far East, India, or Europe are followers of other religions. As a result of the Ibadi principle of religious tolerance, both in the past and also today, they have never been discriminated against. Today, the state guarantees the free practice of religion. It is forbidden to proselytize, even for Muslim believers. As a result, the most varied religions can be found in Muscat, the capital of the country. Here, Catholics, Protestants, Hindus, Copts, Buddhists and Orthodox Christians can be found at prayer next door to one another.
Here we have a very good freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of thoughts. It's one of the best nations among the GCC which I have found. I have traveled across Europe, US, and being an Indian, experienced Christianity in India also, but I find here it's very liberal.
Very nice and peaceful. Friday we come here, every Friday. So some people they come every day.
On Fridays, most believers gather here. In Oman, Friday is the day of rest and relaxation, the equivalent of Sunday in the Christian world.
Bow our heads, close our eyes, and look to our prayer answering, miracle working, only living God in prayer. Lord Jesus, we come to you with an evening's blessing to see within our hearts the inspirations and memories of this day. Today does not look any different than yesterday. Our circumstances have not changed, but slowly and surely your word is taking root in our hearts, and in it we have confident faith.
One of the amazing things for me as an American is the people celebrate Christmas, and actually we can go out to the hospitals with a choir and sing Christian Christmas carols. We can't do that in the United States. In the schools, they talk about Christmas, they have Christmas programs. In the United States, we have holiday programs. We can't even have Christmas programs. So, I mean, in some ways, here we are in a Muslim country, and we have as much freedom, and in some areas, actually more freedom than we have.
Right next door, the largest religious community apart from the Muslims, the Hindus, gather for prayers. Can you imagine such a situation in Germany? No, I can't imagine it. Hindus and all Orthodox persuasions, Protestants and Catholics, all within an area of perhaps a quarter of a kilometre. Where else in the world can you find that? It's policy here that all other religions have the possibility to satisfy their needs, through their feelings, through religious ritual, the right to practice their religion without compulsion or fear.
Ladies and gentlemen, historically and religiously, the year 629 was a key date for the Omanis. That was the year that the two kings of Oman, Abd and Jafar, sons of Julanda, received a letter from the Prophet Mohammed asking them to convert to his new religion. This is a replica of that message. Delegations between the kings and the Prophet were exchanged to study and consider this. Abd and Jafar became convinced and converted freely, and it followed that Islam was accepted peacefully in Oman. It is believed that the Prophet once sent a man to another region of Arabia where he was insulted and beaten. He returned to the Prophet and told him about it. Thereupon, the Prophet praised the residents of Oman and said, "If you have visited the people of Oman, they would neither have insulted nor beaten you." Ever since, the Omanis have been seeking cooperation with others and avoiding violence based on religious differences. Over the centuries, various ethnic groups which were under pressure in other regions of the world found a new home in Oman where they were accepted and are nowadays also regular citizens of the nation. The philosophy of Islam is based on principles of religious tolerance and the avoidance of conflict and violence. Other religious views or models of interpretations must be respected. Prayers in the mosques throughout the country are conducted with Sunnis and Shiites side by side with Ibadis. Sunnis and Shiites have always lived in harmony and accord with the Ibadis, who have always been and continue to be the majority in Oman. The communal prayer to God knows no theological dispute. Everyone must answer for himself before God. Ladies and gentlemen, the basic law of the state issued on 6th November 1996 and comprising 81 articles lays down a legal framework of reference governing the function of the different authorities and separating their powers. It also affords safeguards to guarantee the freedom, dignity, and rights of the individual. This historic document sets out Oman's system of government and the guiding principles behind the state's policies, and also details public rights and duties. Regarding coexistence, many articles in the basic law guarantee it, such as Article number 10 about the political principles. We read, reinforcing ties of cooperation and reaffirming friendly relations with all states and nations on the basis of mutual respect, common interest, non-interference in the internal affairs, and adherence to the international and regional characters and treaties, and generally recognized principles of international law conducive to the advancement of peace and security among states and nations. Also, Article 12, the social principles, we read, justice, equality, and equal opportunities between Omanis are pillars of the society guaranteed by the state. Collaboration and compassion are intimate bonds among the citizens. The reinforcement of the national unity is a duty. The state shall prevent anything that might lead to division, discord, or disruption of the national unity. Article 17. All citizens are equal before the law and share the same public rights and duties. There shall be no discrimination amongst them on the ground of gender, origin, color, language, religion, sect, domicile, or social status. Article 18. Personal freedom is guaranteed according to the law, and it is not permissible to arrest a person, search, detain, imprison, subject to residence detention, or restrict his freedom of residency or movement except in accordance with the provisions of the law. 35. Every foreigner who is legally present in the Sultanate shall enjoy protection for himself and his property in accordance with the law. He shall observe the values of the society and respect the traditions and sentiments thereof. Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing better than to spread messages of goodwill to all people. It is our strong belief that peace and stability can only be realized today in any society through dialogue and understanding. And we sincerely believe that by working together, we can achieve the goals of religious acceptance and peaceful coexistence, as stated by His Excellency Sheikh Abdullah bin Mohammed al-Salimi, when he says, "We have three population groups on earth. The first, consisting of Christians, Jews, and Muslims who believe in one God and a holy book. The second, atheists who have lost all confidence in religion. And the third group, representing a variety of religious and spiritual ideas. We endeavor to maintain a constructive and genuine dialogue with scholars and representatives of all these groups. The aim of the exchange is to reflect on the foundations of our thinking, a common morality and a common sense of justice. For only when we are aware of these similarities and they form a basis for our actions while accepting cultural differences, will we and our children enjoy a peaceful future." End of quotation. The Sultanate of Oman has been sharing its peaceful philosophy at home and abroad for centuries. Oman's Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs has been promoting dialogue among nations for decades to foster mutual understanding and peaceful coexistence on a global scale. Among these initiatives, the Sultanate launched the exhibition Tolerance, Understanding, Coexistence, Oman's Message of Islam in 2010 as one part of its comprehensive approach promoting these values. This was not a public relation campaign, nor simply out of the goodness of their heart, but as a continuation of Oman's long-standing tradition of conducting dialogue and commerce with diverse communities and cultures. This exhibition has appeared in more than 115 cities in more than 34 countries since its starting in 2010. During the last 7 years, an international team has built a unique worldwide network reaching almost all levels of society in more than 30 countries. The 24 panels in this exhibition present aspects of modern Arab country and offers the visitor insights into the practice of Islam in Oman, in daily life in Oman, and examination of a contemporary Omani society and the role of the role of women in society. Your Excellencies, your distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude my speech, it is important to emphasize on these points. Coexistence and tolerance can be shown in many ways on different occasions and different times. A person might fully disagree with others on any issue, while at the same time honoring and respecting those differences, those different ideas and opinions. Tolerance is needed in all spheres of life and on every level and on every stage, because it plays a vital role to establish peace and love from the smallest unit up to the highest unit of society. The roots of coexistence in Oman are, in my opinion, a mixture of a long traditions of openness on culture, a moderate understanding of the religion, political effectiveness on handling all what related to terrorism and sectarian intolerance, effective laws which protect religious freedom, and that the Omanis are focusing on building their nation while keeping away from destruction and conflict. Before I forget, please enjoy this small clip about impressions of Oman from this short clip. It's also done by the German filmmaker Wolfgang Itlich from Germany in 2010. Once again, I would like to express my deep thanks for all members of the Sultan Qaboos Cultural Center for their efforts for hosting this event and for organization and support. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Would you mind staying for some questions and answers? Okay, thank you very much. So we'll open the floor to questions. If you don't mind, I'll throw out the first question. You're in town this week for a summit on religious freedom and tolerance at the State Department. I was wondering if you could share your impressions of how the summit went.
So, I think that's a question for politicians there. Anyway, but from my point of view, as an activist of the religious tolerance and to spread this message, I am optimistic about what's going on. And I think to be part of this campaign is very useful for all mankind around the world. We know all the people, all over the world, people suffering of wars, discrimination because of their beliefs. And to stop this, we need a global campaign, a global efforts. And the United States, when they start such a campaign around the world, that will be good for the whole people. I'm optimistic, as I have been always, and looking forward for this campaign for fruitful results around the world.
Thank you. Questions?
Assalamu alaikum.
Please take the mic.
My name is Jafar. I'm a graduate student at American University in International Affairs. I have a very good impression about Oman in the discussion. So Oman is an impartial or neutral country, and facilitates lots of religious freedom. So what are the problems that Oman cannot lead or take a lead to establish equality in religion in other countries in the Middle East?
You mean the initiatives run by the country?
Yeah. If Oman could lead other countries to establish equality in religious practice, wouldn't it be better? I mean, what is the problem for Oman to be the leader?
Yeah, we are not a superpower, but to do that. You know, always Oman respect others, and you know the policy of Oman is not to interference in any interior issues of other countries. We always keep the distance between Oman and other nations the same for all of our neighbors, and we also cooperate with all people all around us. If someone needs our help or needs our support, we are there to support their societies or the nation or whatever we can do, cooperate with others. But we don't impose ourselves in front of others that we say we are the superhero and we can do everything. You know, Oman, in all its history, they are moderate, they are a peaceful country, and they want to keep that as long as it is. To be part of the problem, it means you will be part of the solution, and we don't want to be as part of the solution, but we are peacemakers to others.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Excellency. My name is Sulaiman Basti, and I work for the World Bank in Washington, D.C. One of my former colleagues at the Presidential White House, Farah Pandit, she emphasized acceptance rather than tolerance, which goes beyond, it has a majority-minority connotation. That so you go more for acceptance rather than tolerance and that kind of thing. So it's more of an active proposition rather than just being passive about it. So in your future work, perhaps that would be suggestion.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a good point. It's the issue of the terms, tolerance and acceptance. It differs from language to language. In Arabic, tolerance, at-tasamuh, it's very good word. It means all people are equal and they are in a common ground and they deal with each other in daily lives according to respect others and harmony among them. But maybe the problem with the English term in the past. But nowadays, while all nations and the international organizations accepted the term tolerance, especially UNESCO, and there is, as you know, in 1985, the declaration of the principles of tolerance in the world. So the term, it doesn't mean what it means before, but it means the values that people can live together in harmony. It means acceptance, it means tolerance, coexistence, all these terms, all these values, it's under the umbrella of tolerance, but not the specific meaning of the term itself.
Wonderful. Is it working?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Riyad Naqshbandi from American University here in Washington, D.C. As somebody who visited Oman, God, maybe 20, 25 times, I think you missed something very crucial and very important. Number one, I can testify to what you just mentioned about it is tolerance and acceptance and openness. I never saw in all my trips to Oman and Muscat, two Omanis arguing or shouting or yelling or screaming. So that would support what you mentioned about it. But I think what is most important is the city of Muscat and other places, they are spotless in terms of cleanliness and in terms of being very proud of their city. And I think this is very crucial in addition to what you just mentioned about cooperation and acceptance of foreigners as well. Thank you very much for just a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Raif, for your contribution. And you are right for your there are many points missed in my presentation. It's just an overview and introduction. About Muscat, also to add, I read an article written by a German traveler in 1883. He visited Muscat and wrote an article in one of the German encyclopedias. It's now published. He mentioned that in Muscat, at that time, 1883, 25 languages spoken in Muscat. So it is a place where people meet together and live together in harmony. So thank you for mentioning Muscat.
Thank you very much. My name is Rochelle Davis. I'm a professor at Georgetown University. And I appreciate you coming here to the United States to talk to us, so thank you. I wanted to ask you to tell us more about the training of religious scholars that takes place in Oman, because I know in Egypt, for example, there's Jamaat al-Azhar, or in Mecca or Medina, there are religious institutions where they're training people who are under those Awqaf or others. So could you tell us a little bit more about how that takes place in Oman?
Thank you. Thank you for your good question. About religious education in Oman, it's different than other nations, maybe in the Arab world. You know, the state itself, there is no established universities or religious institutions in the country. Because we believe that religion is something personal. And every school of thought in the country, you know, we have Sunnis, Shiites, and Ibadis, all these different schools of thought, they need to learn their doctrine, they need to learn their practical part of their belief through scholars who they trust. So there is no institution in Oman for the education purposes for the religion. People learn religion from their scholars who they trust. But there are Quranic schools around the country. We have 340 Quranic schools in the country for children under 7 years old. After 7 years old, they go to normal school. There is no Quranic schools after 7 years old. There is College of Sharia Science in Muscat. It's founded in 1973. It is the oldest college in Oman. And in this college, people or students study religion in not about one sect, but it is studies in Islamic studies, and they learn other activities. The main purpose of this in 1973 to establish this institute is to produce or to for the mosque for imams, to educate imams around the country. But it developed nowadays an academic institute for Sharia sciences. So this is the situation in Oman. And also the mosques in Oman play a major role of education. So we consider that the 16,000 mosques around the country, they are centers of education for people, ordinary people, where they can learn their religion.
Your Excellency, good morning. I'm Pat Mancino with the National Council on U.S. Relations, and I just wanted to say thank you for what a wonderful presentation that you delivered. I was wondering if you could comment a little bit about Ibadism and where Ibadism is found. I know it's outside of Oman in some countries. If you could just comment on the distinguishing factors between Ibadism and maybe the Shia and the Sunni, and the idea of peaceful coexistence built into that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for your question. May I ask, how many of you heard before about Ibadism? So, very good. So that will be easier to explain. So you know about Ibadism. Ibadism is a sect of, it's a school of thought in Oman, not only in Oman, but originally it started in Medina with the companions of the Prophet Mohammed. And the Ibadis consider themselves, and the chain goes back to the Prophet Muhammad. After the bloody conflict between Imam Ali bin Abi Talib and Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, because of the political issues, and there was a clash between the two parties, this group of believers stand in the middle, and they didn't participate either with Imam Ali or Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. Their small community decided to sit down and not participate in any of these bloody conflict. That's why they called them Al-Qa'ada, the people who sat down. From this small community of believers, they kept their movement as it is from Medina, and their leaders traveled from Medina to Basra in Iraq, where they established their community there. And the founder of this movement was Imam Jabir bin Zayd, and he was originally from Oman, born in Nizwa, in Farq. So he was in Iraq, and he established his community. He is a scholar, and he's a scholar known in all schools of thought, not only Ibadis. Even the Sunnis says that Jabir bin Zayd is not an Ibadi, but we know that Ibadism goes back to Jabir bin Zayd. And his successor, Abu Ubaidah Muslim bin Abi Karima, complete his mission, and what Abu Ubaidah Muslim bin Abi Karima did, he established what is called a university of teaching the trainers, train the trainers. So he established a community in Basra, and he trained some of his students and sent them to other regions of the world. So he sent one of his students to Oman, one of the students to Algeria, one of his students to Tunisia and other parts of the world. So these centers, until today, you will find some Ibadis living there. So this is the history of Oman, the history of Ibadism. This is small community, and we are still small community comparing with the Sunnis and Shias in the world. About the differences between Ibadis and Sunnis and Shias, there's no major differences about the belief. We believe in the Quran, we believe in the Sunnah, we believe in the Prophet Muhammad, we practicing the 5 pillars of Islam and everything. There's no differences in Aqidah with the Shia or with the Sunnis. There are there's very minor differences about the ibadis, in prayer, in some aspect. But this is not only with the ibadis, you can find the same point of view with other schools of thought. So to say ibadis is more small group of believers who believe that to avoid any kind of conflict since the beginning and until today. So that's why maybe we can explain the status of Oman, that they are keeping away from going in any conflict in the world, because it goes back with their belief, how they believe that to be in peace and to cooperate with others and not to participate in any conflict, especially if it is because of religion. 1,400 years now in Oman, there's never happened a conflict in Oman based on religious differences until now.
Thank you very much. I'm Andrea Stump. I consider myself a fan of Oman.
Thank you
for coming. And the statement you just made, I feel like we should all pause. That's really incredible. No religious conflict in that time period. The reason I'm standing to ask a question is you are from the Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs. And I've also seen it translated as the Ministry of Cultural Heritage and Religious Affairs. And I'm sure His Majesty, the Sultan, had a reason to put those two elements together in one ministry. So I wonder if the endowments part of the ministry is also meaningful for what you've been sharing with us today. What is that connection, and how does that amplify or reinforce the view that Omanis and Ibadis have towards religious affairs, or is there a connection?
Thank you for the question. The title of the ministry is Ministry of Awqaf, which is Endowments and Religious Affairs. There is another Ministry of Culture and Inheritance. It's Ministry of Wizarat al-Turath wa Thaqafa. So there are two different units. There is culture and heritage in one ministry, and religious affairs in another ministry.
So sorry, that's my mistake.
Yeah.
But what is the endowments piece then? What is that, the importance of that?
Endowments. It is Awqaf. Awqaf. It's an Arabic term which is endowments, or what they call it here maybe in USA.
You call it endowment.
Endowment?
Yes, that's what.
Yeah.
It's trust,
It's trust. Charity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's something individual keep for the community after their life. So in Oman we have more than 140,000 units of endowments. So the Ministry of Endowments take care about these units to play their role in the society. So they are for the benefit of the society, and it is for like institutions for social care or the medical care and other purposes. So this is the role of the ministry. We don't control these units, but they are to supervising that they continue to do their purpose in the society.
So why does it fit together? Why does that go with
Because
religious
all of
affairs?
them are religious endowments. Not mosques, not Quranic schools, but normal units in the society. Maybe it could be a piece of land, or a building, or a school, or other things.
Excellency, just to clarify, in my country, in Pakistan, we have the same Ministry of Awqaf, which takes care of the religious shrines for the preservation and upkeep and that kind of thing. So it's not like private institutions, so the government plays a role.
Awqaf is a private sector. It is not it's not government sector. So that's why we are only in the ministry supervising these activities in these endowments. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning, and thank you so much for your presentation, Dr. Mohammed. My name is Jessica Chilin, and I am a graduate student. I'll be a graduate student at Georgetown University this fall. And my question is about refugees in Oman. Apart from guest workers, are there any refugees in Oman, and what is their status over there?
In Oman, we don't have any refugees. We have workers. Maybe because of our location, there is no refugees there. But people coming to Oman as visitors, they can stay there for long. But we have workers from all over the world. So there's no refugees. There is some camps in Yemen borders. We have a border with Yemen. But because of the war now in Yemen and the problems there is camps for people to take care about them. But not the side of Omani land, it's in the Yemen part. But Oman take care about them.
Thank you.
Tremendous thanks for your presence this morning. My name is Raymond. I'm a consultant at the YMCA, which is the Young Men's Christian Association. Our headquarters are just next door. In fact, received the invitation for this event today and sprinted, if I could, to get here just to hear your remarks. So thank you for being here. My question's related to several other questions that have actually been addressed already, but I think it wants to get to the finite detail of what the tactics are for the state as it addresses this religious tolerance, as well as these concepts of love. How does the state articulate through its public programs, these endowments even, how it cares for its citizens?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for coming to attend this speech. Actually, the government of Oman, they have not much to do with the religion of people. As I said before, religion is something individual, and this is what in our midst is considered religion. We are not going deep with the belief of people, but we would like to secure that everyone from different religions, from different affiliation, from different schools of thought in Islam, that they can participate and they can practice their own religion in harmony with others. So we more supervising what's going on in the country without controlling the beliefs of people. This is one part. On the other part, we have 1,200 Friday prayer mosques, and this is very important for us. And this is maybe one of the distinguished difference between Oman and other parts in Muslim world, that the ministry take care of about the Friday prayer. So not everyone, not every imam can speak about whatever he wants to the public. The Friday prayer statement is written and distributed by the ministry for the 1,200 mosques around the country to ensure that the mosques not used for political or any sectarian arguments or problems, and use the member of the mosque to spread the differences and to spread conflict among the people in Oman. So this is what we do. Otherwise, everyone is free in his religion, he can practice his own religion. We have 23 churches in Oman from different denominations. We have 2 temples, and this is not new. It is thousands of years of our history. We welcome others to come to Oman, as the Omanis also, as a seafarer, went out of their country. They were welcomed also in everywhere they went. So this is what we do. It is not a ministry to control the religion or to explain specific religion to anyone in the country, but to ensure that everyone has his own right to practice his religion and his belief.
So far, we've been discussing Oman largely domestic, but you live in a neighborhood. You're right next to Saudi Arabia. You're across from the Strait of Hormuz from Iran. Strait of Hormuz been in the news recently. How long can Oman remain immune from these international pressures? And I've been reading about another one just now. There seems to have been a riot at Al-Aqsa following Friday prayers. It looks fairly serious. That's an additional pressure on Oman. Can you isolate yourself from these international pressures?
Thank you very much for your question. It's also a political issue, but from my understanding, we don't isolate ourselves from our neighbors. We live in harmony with everyone. We don't have any problem, any border problems with any of our neighbors. All these problems is solved under the wisdom, wise leadership of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos. He solved all the problems from the beginning. Other than that, this is not a new in the region. It's always been problems, conflicts in the Middle East. So we live in that situation, and we learn from the history that not to put ourselves in any of these conflicts, not to be part of any of these problems. Then this is what kept Oman in the past, not isolated, but living in harmony and living in peace. And no one can isolate himself, and we are under pressure. We in Oman, and especially the youth now, we feel the pressure in Oman. And what we can do, what we could do, is to ensure that the future of our next generation will be good as our presence now. So, you know, every Omani, every single Omani, whether he is a Sunni or a Shi'i or a Sunni or anybody, when they sit together, they don't talk about the differences they have. They sit together to build their country. They talked about the similarities they have. And this is very important. If you ensure that the society, they are different in belief, they are different in culture. We have many languages in Oman, by the way. So, but everyone lives in that community, and they know that if they want to keep their presence and to keep their country, they have to live like this, as Oman thousands of years ago. So everyone, this is in our mind. There is no teaching in the government that taught us to do so. There are programs in the government, of course, about tolerance, understanding, and also in our ministry for the Friday prayers, we make statements about this. But it is not a program that everyone attend to ensure that he is a tolerant, moderate Muslim, respecting others. It's in our minds. We teach that for our next generation. I think this is how we can live and how we can survive in any conflict. And this is what we learn from the history of Oman. I hope this will explain. But this is how we live, and this is what the history of Oman is like.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Before we break, I just want to thank Dr. Saeed Al-Jabri and Hanan Al-Kindi, my colleagues at the Embassy of the Sultanate of Oman, for co-coordinating this event today. I'm very grateful for your collaboration, and I invite you all to stay and partake of some Omani coffee and drinks and food before you go, and continue the conversation with all of us. Thank you.
Should we do anything?